Welcome, dear students, friends. Today I will focus on the most important aspect, most important topic in the microbiology, infection control and standard safety measures. So it is important for the students concerning with the microbiology, the healthcare workers working in the hospitals, in the laboratories, in the blood banks, and it is important for the all people because nowadays the whole world is concerned with the health crisis, COVID-19 pandemic. So here in this topic we are able to understand, we are able to know what are the cycle of the infection and how we can control the cycle of the infection, how this infection is spread from one person to another person. These all things we'll discuss in this topic. So infection is the one of the leading cause of the preventable death in hospital every year. The Center of the Disease Control and Prevention estimated that there are approximately 2 million preventable infections in the hospital every year, leading to 90,000 unnecessary deaths. So if infection is prevented, then these 90,000 deaths also can be prevented. An infection occurs when a disease causing organism enter in the body and start to multiply when they come in contact with favorable environment. Definition of the infection: it is a lodgement and multiplication of microorganism in the body, or we can say an infection, the entry and multiplication of an infectious agent in the tissue of the host, it is known as infection. Types of the infection. So infection majorly categorized in the two categories: generalized or the systemic infection, and second is the localized local infection. Systemic infection means affecting the entire body rather than a single organ or body part. Many organs and tissue might be involved in the complex disease process. In the systemic infection, entire body or more than one organ of the body are involved. Many organs and tissue might be involved in the complex disease process. For example, systemic disease such as flu, systemic disorder, high blood pressure. In this infection that is in the bloodstream is called, this infection is in the bloodstream and it is called a systemic infection. Localized infection. Localized infection is an infectious disease or any neoplastic, it may be the benign or malignant process that originates and is confined to one area of the body or organ system. Example include an ear infection and boil on the hand, abscess on the leg. These are the localized infection. Now the chain of the infection. So in chain of the infection, first is the agent. Agents may be the bacteria, viruses, any pathogens, fungus, protozoa, etc. Next is in the chain of infection, next is the reservoir. Reservoir may be the people, animal, wild animals, food, soil, water. Next in the chain of infection is the portal of exit. Under the portal of exit, mouth, cups. Next is the mode of the transmission: direct contact, hands, indirect contacts, the things. Next is the portal of entry. So these infection can enter through the mouth, through any cuts, eyes, nose, etc. And next and last one in the chain of infection is the susceptible host. So susceptible host, the person who has the compromised immune system, these microorganisms, these pathogens enter in this host. Now the course of infection by the different stages. So this course of infection can be divided in the 4 different stages. First one is the incubation period, second one is the prodromal stage, third is the illness stage, and fourth one is the convalescence stage. So incubation period or incubation stage, this is the time between exposure to a pathogenic organism or a chemical or a radiation and signs and symptoms are first apparent. It may be from the few minutes to years. A person may be a carrier of a disease during this period, such as streptococcus in the throat without exhibiting any symptoms. A person may be the carrier, even he or she is not showing any symptoms, then he can spread during this period. He or she can spread the infection. Second stage is the prodromal stage. The prodromal period occurs after the incubation period. During this phase, the pathogen continue to multiply and host begins to experience general signs and symptoms of illness. These signs and symptoms typically result the activation of our immune system, and the individual may show some signs and symptoms during the prodromal stage due to the activation of our immune system, such as fever, pain, soreness, swelling or inflammation. The third stage is illness stage. This illness stage of infection start with the noticeable actual symptoms of disease. The severity of these symptoms and the severity of the infection depends upon the susceptibility of the host, and in this stage there is active replication or the multiplication of pathogens, and the number of pathogens at this stage are the peak. The symptoms are very pronounced, both from the specific to the organ affected as well as the general symptoms due to the strong reaction of our immune system. The last fourth stage of the infection is the convalescence stage. In this stage, the patient recovers gradually and return to the normal, feeling better, but may continue to be a source of infection during the convalescence stage. The person recovers, try to understand. The convalescence stage is, in this stage, the patient recovers gradually, may feel better, return to normal, but may continue to be a source of infection. These are the 4 stages of the infection. Now, who are at risk of infection? Individuals at risk of infection, the medical staffs working in the hospitals, healthcare settings, the clients and the community, they are at high risk of infection. Infection risk or the probability of the infection. If the immunity is compromised, there is high risk of infection. The quantity of the agent, the number of the pathogens, The agent virulence, how much it is virulent, and the duration of the exposure. Now, types of the infection based on the source: community acquired infection and hospital acquired infection. These are the types of infection based on the source of the infection. Healthcare associated common infections. What are the healthcare associated common infections? Urinary tract infection, surgical wound infection, respiratory tract infection, catheter related bloodstream infections. Source of hospital acquired infection may be the endogenous or exogenous. In case of the endogenous infection, the person may get infected his or her pathogens due to the compromised immune system. Exogenous infection, he get infection from the environment. Risk areas in the healthcare settings. What are the risk area of the infection? Nurseries, ICU, dialysis unit, transplant unit, emergency unit, oncology ward, operation theatre, delivery room, post-operative room. These are the high risk areas. Common microorganisms which are found in the hospital: Staphylococcus aureus, Enterococcus pseudomonas, Klebsiella E. coli, HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, cytomegalovirus, Candida, protozoa, and the mycobacterium. These are the common microorganisms which are found in the hospital. Goals of infection control. First thing is the immunization to control the infection. How to enhance the immunization? Define the precautions. Restricting exposure. Protect the patient and the medical staff. Reducing the number of the pathogens. Implementing high safety standard. Importance of infection control. What are the importance of infection control? Prevent post-procedure infection. After any procedure, major or minor procedure, prevent the infection. Provide high quality and safe services. Prevent infections in service providers who are providing the healthcare services. Prevent the infection. Protect the community. Prevent the antibiotic resistance. Lower the cost of healthcare services. Some regulatory agencies are there. They focus on the infection like NABH, Center for the Disease Control, OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Functions of infection control program. These are the functions under the infection control program which are: set relevant national objectives, develop and periodically update the guidelines, develop a national system for monitoring, harmonize initial and continue training programs to control the infection, facilitate access to material of hygiene and safety, encourage healthcare establishment to monitor the nosocomial infection, hospital acquired infection. Components of infection. Components of the infection control programs: continuous, standard and additional precautions, education and training of healthcare workers, protection of healthcare workers by immunization, identification of hazards and minimize risk, routine practice, maintain the aseptic techniques, asepsis, effective work practice and procedure, surveillance, incident monitoring, outbreak investigation, infection control and specific situation and research. Organization of an infection control program. Under this, the hospital administrator or the head of the institution should establish an infection control committee. This infection control team or committee comprise the members of this team: hospital management, microbiologist, and this microbiologist is the chairperson of this committee, head nurse, clinical representatives, pharmacist, housekeeping and maintenance staff. These are the members of infection control committee or team. Infection control manual containing this manual containing rules, regulations regarding patient care, waste disposal and management, instruction and practices. So this manual, infection control manual, provide all these guidelines. Education and training of healthcare staff. Assess needs of the health and provide the required training. Organize regular training program. Provide periodic retraining. After the gap, again the retraining is provided. Review the effectiveness of training. Next one is infection control measures. So first, in starting, we have discussed the chain of the infection. Now there is a time to break the chain of infection. So how can we break the chain of the infection? You can focus, you can understand. Now is the time to break the infection, COVID-19. So how this chain can be breaked? So this is the chain of infection. Already we have discussed, there is agent, reservoir, portal of exit, mode of the transmission, mode of spread, mode of transmission, portal of entry, and they lodged in the new sick person, that is the susceptible host. This is the chain of infection that start from the agent, germs. Agents are the germs, and to the new sick person known as the susceptible host. So how this chain can be breaked? First thing is control or elimination of infectious agents. So these are the measures, methods to control or fully eliminate the infectious agents: by the cleaning, follow the aseptic technique, disinfection and the sterilization. These infectious agents can be eliminate it. Second point, under the control of or elimination of the reservoir, under the break of this infection chain or cycle. Second point is the control or elimination of reservoir. How? First thing is employee health by immunization of the healthcare workers. Hospital environment, improve the condition of hospital environment. Properly handle the linen. Waste control, visitors control. By these, keeping in the mind these points, we can eliminate, we can control the reservoirs. Third point, under the breaking of the cycle of the infection, control of the portal of exit. These are the points. Practicing these points, we can control the portal of exit. Practice aseptic techniques using the personal protective equipments. Careful handling of the waste. Coughing etiquettes. Fourth point, under the breaking of the infection cycle or chain, control of transmission. In this, first thing is the contact precautions, droplet precautions, airborne precautions, vector control, pest control, isolation, hygienic cooking and handling of the food. By keeping in the mind these points, focusing on these points, we can control the spreading of the infection, the transmission of the infection from one person to another person. Fifth point, to break the cycle of the infection, control of portal of entry. Under this, maintain the skin integrity. There should not be any cut or wound. Maintain the skin integrity, preventing injuries or any bad sore, because from this the pathogen or microbes can enter into the body, in the body of the host. Maintain frequent oral hygiene. Dressing of the wound, close dressing to the wound. Ensure patient hygiene, periodic changing of catheters. Sixth point, under the breaking the cycle of the infection, encourage proper immunization, adequate nutrition, patient education, isolation, providing the separate room of the patient who are infected, prophylactic antibiotics. By these, the susceptible host can be protected. Now, next thing is the standard safety measures. So the standard safety measures are a set of infection control practices to prevent transmission of the disease that can be acquired by contact with blood, body fluid or skin and mucous membrane. These ensure to be when providing care to all individuals. Following must be practiced: hand hygiene, personal protective equipments, needle stick and sharp injury prevention, disinfection, cleaning and disinfection, respiratory hygiene, proper waste disposal, safe injection practice. So these standard safety measures are the minimum infection prevention practices that should be based in the care of all patients all the time, and these practices are designed to both protect the healthcare workers providing care to the patient and to prevent the healthcare workers from spreading the infections among the patient. This is the hierarchy of the controls. Personal protective equipments protect the workers by providing the personal protective equipments. Administrative control change the way of the people work, isolate the people from the hazardous, elimination physically or remove the hazardous. This is the hierarchy of control. Now, standard safety measures or standard safety precautions you may practice in day-to-day activity, and nowadays it is very essential. First one is the hand hygiene. Second one is the personal protective equipments. Third one is the respiratory hygiene. Fourth one, safe injection practice. Fifth one, cleaning and disinfection. Sixth one, safe and handling of the sharp instrument. Seventh is waste management. Eighth, linen or laundry management. Ninth, spill management. 10th, pre and post prophylaxis. And last one is the immunization. First is the hand hygiene. When you will wash your hand before touching a patient, before any aseptic procedure, after body fluid exposure, after touching a patient's surroundings, you must wash your hand. In the hospital, rather than the physical environment which continue the reservoir of the infection, the nurses, nursing officers, healthcare workers should follow hand hygiene techniques. They should also guide other staffs, visitors or students who are coming to the hospital or in the healthcare settings regarding the hand hygiene. All the steps of hand washing should be followed properly and cultivate the habit of hand washing. Each child will help to prevent cross infection if you do the proper hand washing. Always use the liquid soap instead of a solid soap for the hand washing. Types of the hand hygiene. These are the methods like routine hand wash, antiseptic hand wash, antiseptic hand scrub, and these are the agent, purpose and areas. this table is showing the method, agent, purpose and areas of hand hygiene. Now the steps of the hand washing. So we're washing our hands nowadays 20 minutes for the prevention of the COVID-19 pandemic. We must follow these 7 steps always. First is the scrub your palm, both the palms. Second step, rub your back of the palm, back of the hand. Third step, interlacing the fingers and hand, both the hand together. Fourth one is interlocking the fingers. Fifth one, rub your thumb and area between the thumb and the index finger in the rotating movement. Sixth one is fingertips of the both hand. And the last seventh step, seventh is the rub your wrist of the one hand first and the vice versa. Second, under the standard safety measures are the precautions. Personal protective equipments must be used in the healthcare settings in the hospitals. There must be strict adherence to the aseptic techniques in various invasive procedures like insertion and removal of any catheter, surgical tubings, drainage tube and package need. Even while they are done outside of the operation theatre, it must be followed. Third measure is the respiratory hygiene. Under the respiratory hygiene, cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when coughing or sneezing and use the nearest waste receptacle to dispose these tissues. Fourth measure or fourth precaution is safe injection practice. So follow one needle, one syringe and one time. Then there will be zero infection. So don't reuse these things. One needle, one syringe and these are used only one time, then there will be zero infection. Some steps can be followed during the safe injection into your muscles. So you must wash your hand thoroughly with soap and warm water. Gather all the supply, collect all the supply. Prepare the injection site by cleaning the injection site. Prepare the vial and syringe. Inject the medication. Then remove the needle and press on the injection site. This is some steps can be followed by the healthcare workers, by the nursing officers while injecting intramuscular injection. Fifth precaution or measure, cleaning and disinfection. Cleaning and disinfection of the hospital settings like operation theatre. Different kind of the disinfectants are used. Hypochlorite have a broad spectrum of action to disinfect. Select the appropriate disinfectant for the different purpose, for the different areas, and while selecting, You must follow these: appropriate choice, appropriate concentration of this disinfectant, appropriate contact time, appropriate material of use. Sixth precaution is safe handling of the sharps. The sharp instrument sharps must be safely disposed in a disposed container. After using the disposable needle, you never recap them because there is potential risk of injury. They should be disposed uncapped. Injection files and cotton swabs should be used for the breaking ampoules. While you are disposing the breaking ampoule in the container, you can use the cotton swabs by picking these breaking ampoules or putting into the dustbin, into the container. Scissor and blade should be handled with extreme care. Needle should be never be left on the bed. Don't left the needle on the bed or table or chair or near the nurse's station. Heavy duty gloves should be used while handling and washing sharp instrument and glasswares. Seventh is the waste management. We must dispose the waste in the hospital, in the healthcare setting, according to color code. So segregation of these wastes in the color code bags: black bag, red bag, blue bag, green bag, yellow bag, and these are the some cans are there for the. So segregation of these in the different color. Yellow bags, they contains the infectious waste, bandage, gauze, cotton, any other thing, body fluids, parts, placenta, etc. The blue bags, they contain all type, you can see in the picture, all type of the glass bottles, broken glass articles, discarded medications. And the black bag contains needles without syringe, blade, shafts, and the metal articles. So dispose according to segregation of the waste, the color code given. The next is the linen or the laundry management. So try to understand, focus on this diagram. One is the clean area and second is the dirty area. So from the dirty bed or the sheets or linen come directly into the dirty side, and these clean side, after all the process, there are these 7 steps are there. They must reach to the bed from the clean side. So this is the linen or laundry management system in the healthcare delivery system in the hospital, must be followed for the control of the infection, for the prevention of the infection. Ninth one, the spill management. So you can put the alert code brown for the hazard spill. The blood and body fluid must use the appropriate personal protective equipments like gloves, masks and gowns. Cover the spill with paper, towel or other absorbent material. Carefully pour a freshly prepared 1:10 dilution of the bleach around the edge of the spill and into the spill. Allow it 10 minutes of this bleach or Clorox can be applied. Use paper towel to wipe off a spill working from the edge of the center. Clean spill area with the fresh paper towel soaked in Clorox. Dispose paper towels into a yellow biohazardous bag. Yellow color code bags, these paper are disposed properly. 10th one is the prophylaxis. So there is prevention protocol for needle stick injury. HBsAg HIV tested on the patient. Repeat tests in the 6-month time for HCV and HIV. Report incident to Social Security in case workers compensation is needed. And last one is the immunization, vaccination. So vaccination of the health workers. Some vaccinations are strongly, we can categorize in the 3 categories. First one is the strongly recommended vaccination for the health workers. These are the recommended, strongly recommended immunization for health workers. First one, hepatitis B, influenza, measles, mumps, rubella, MMR, tetanus, varicella. Second category is recommended immunizations, pneumococcal, and third category is recommended for selected healthcare workers. Hepatitis A vaccination, meningococcal vaccine, rabies and typhoid vaccine. So these are the standard safety measures or the precautions. The nursing officer, nurse can have the role in the infection control chain. Infectant agent, bacterium, viruses, she can prevent these and she able to prevent the mode of the transmission and prevent to get infection in the susceptible host, new patient. The nurses, they are working directly with the contaminated instrument or equipments. She must wear the personal protective equipment. Sterile gloves are used for all the invasive procedure. Thank you very much.